Hello, my name is Isaiah, better known as Zay Knives on the internet, and today we're going to be forging a fixed blade hunting knife. So while I'm getting the fire started, I wanted to mention I'm using 1.5" by 3/16 1095 high carbon steel. I use this steel for hunting knives, kitchen knives, pretty much everything that I make. Alright, now I got the metal nice and hot. So the first thing I'm going to do, take it out and take those corners off. See what I'm doing here? And the second I lose that forging heat, I want to throw it back in the fire to save me as much time as possible. Now I'm going to take it over to the horn and draw the tip. Steel in there, so now we're going to widen it out. Now we're going to start smashing in our taper. So something to keep in mind while forging your blades is that you want the ricasso to be the thickest part of the blade, so the transition between the tang and the blade, and it should taper in either direction from there, so thinner towards the tip and then thinner towards the tang. Alright, so I'm going to go over the far side of the anvil. Fortunately, my anvil is a bit crunchy. And start that transition. Now, unfortunately, I'm a bit cold here. So you can see that is going to be the start. That's going to be where the finger groove starts. Now I got a sort of a tang-like shape on the end there. So now I'm going to cut it off and do some further detail work on it. Alright, so I'm going to cut it off right where it turns back into a bar. There we go. So now I'm going to take the piece over to the grinder and just grind that little shear off at the end. I'm going to use a cross bead to start adding some width. So now I'm going to start hammering in the edge bevel. And this can be pretty tricky when you're first starting, but what you want to do is you want to come over to an edge of the anvil. So I have it like this, and I'm going to smash in the transition, the plunge line first. Flip it over. And there we go. So that's the start of the edge bevel there. I'm going to work my way up the blade. Alright, so the blade has a little bend in it, and the best way to get that out is to heat it up and then take a wooden mallet and just give it a good smack. So now I'm going to take this flatter tool that I made, and I'm going to go over the tang and get it as flat as possible. I'm going to do this just by laying the flatter over the tang, seeing where it rests, and just striking it. So now I'm going to take a straightening heat on the blade of the knife. So I'm going to slowly go through at a dull red temperature, check, and just straighten the edge out. That looks pretty good and straight. So this is what we have, completely finished. This is right off the anvil, well, completely forge finished, I mean. So from here, I'm going to take 2 normalization cycles on both the blade and the spine, or both the blade and the tang. So what I'm going to do is heat the knife up to a dull red temperature and let it cool off in the air. I learned from a smith who's been doing it much longer than I have, that it's more important when normalizing your blades that it's an even heat rather than the exact temperature. Meaning we want to get the whole tang the exact same color. See, I overheated the middle here a little bit, so I'm going to let this cool off and then wait, stick it back in the fire till it's all of the same red color. So I'm going to call that good enough. Stick that in the vise. Alright, so now that I've run my normalization cycles on the blade and this is fully forged out, I'm going to take some soapstone and draw in the designs that I want to do for the profile of the blade. Alright, so at this point we have the tang flattened on both sides. We get the blade profile to where we want it. So now I'm going to go through, drill my pinholes for the handle, and then I'm going to heat treat the blade. Now, you don't normally see people heat treat the blade without grinding any of the edge, but since the edge is so thin from where we forged it, I'm going to heat treat it first and then grind the edge in. That way we won't have to worry about any cracking or warping. What I got here is Parks 50 quenching oil. So what we're going to do, we're going to heat the blade up and we're going to quench it in that oil, and what that'll do is that'll harden the steel. So I'm going to periodically check to see if the knife is attracted by the magnet, and it is, so this means it's not hot enough. Here we go. Take it out. Check for straightness. Straight as an arrow. Alright, now that the blade is hardened, we need to temper it. So it's been in the oven for just over an hour. Okay, so at this point I have finished grinding the blade through 36 grit, so it's very coarse right now, but it's almost at an edge. So now I'm going to go through with 120 grit belt and get rid of all those 36 grit scratch marks. Edge bevel is at 220 grit, so now we're going to move on to hand sanding. That took forever. Alright, so I finished polishing to 220 on both sides, and now I'm going to go to the Scotch-Brite belt. This is going to make it like shiny and nice looking. Five-minute epoxy, 2-part epoxy. Alright, so now the glue is dry, so now I'm going to go ahead and just grind off the glue. Alright, so now I'm going to go through and drill the pinholes. So now I'm going to put the pin through both sides so I can perfectly match them when I drill the next hole. Alright, so now I'm taking this bit. I say this bit because I don't even know what it's called. But its purpose is to take these holes, and they're not perfectly round. So that's why the pins will get stuck inside the wood. So now I'm going to go through every hole that I just drilled and send it through this, and this will make the holes perfectly round. Alright, so like an idiot, I chamfered the wrong side of the handle scales, so I had to switch over and flatten the opposite side of the handles, which made this one fall apart. So these handles have been the biggest pain in the ass, but I'm ready to glue it now. Glue in the pin, put some glue in the pin. Alright, we'll glue this up. here's the knife. I'm at 500 grit on the handle. So we polished the blade out. So now we're going to put this boiled linseed oil finish on the handle. And what this will do is this seals and protects the wood after it dries. And it also makes it look a lot nicer. So what's a knife if it's not sharp? So right now I'm going to go ahead and sharpen the knife. I'm going to use 120 belt, go with 220, and then finish it at 400 grit. So here's the finished knife. It's got an edge on it. It's finished. The wood is finished. Let's test it on some paper. It even shaves hair. Alright, let's see if I can cut through this water bottle with this knife. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work out, but we're going to try. There we go. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Forging a Fixed Blade Hunting Knife. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you click the bell to get notifications when I upload a video. Also make sure you follow me on social media, Instagram @ZayKnives, Facebook ZayKnives. If you're interested in purchasing this knife or many other knives that I've made, you can check out my website, zayknives.com. The link to that will be in the description of the video.